Both do it.
Tarquini managed to make it look not boxy anymore.
Isn't it the martini, red and blue stripe? Well, why don't you sell all your cars?
No, here we go.
And get a decent one. Well, because you can say horrible things, but you can make them pink and fluffy.
It gets to that rev limiter quick. We're doing some miles an hour.
I'm late for work and my fuel light has just come on. So I'm going to be even later for work.
Are we on?
Right, yeah, so we're on.
Well, this is podcast number 3. We're getting greedy, Ack. It's like we think that this is going to just keep going. We're trying to actually have a proper channel here.
Steady on.
Who are we?
Yeah.
We do have other channels, though, don't we? If you're joining us for the first time, welcome. If you've watched any of our others, then well done for sticking with us.
Yeah, thanks very much.
This is the AutoPod podcast. My name is Paul, and I like to talk a lot. This chap's name is...
Ack, and he doesn't like to talk as much.
But ends up listening to this brummie over here. We do have other channels. So I have a Live to Drive channel and a travel channel, links to which will be in the description below. And Ack has...
I've got a bike channel, which I've been neglecting for many years now, and a gaming channel.
And again, the links will be below. So today, we wanted to discuss what we would like to own, money, no object. Now, again, if you're new to this podcast, I bring the sort of car element to the conversation, and Ack brings his motorbike element to the conversation. And I reckon, as I think the first 2 podcasts I tended to start first, I think it's only fair that Ack starts first this time.
No, that's not fair.
Go
Okay.
So this is basically
Money, no object.
money, no object.
Yeah, yeah.
You can have the biggest building that you want to store them in.
Yeah, I've got 7 on my list. How many you got on your list?
A couple. I'll make sure I don't do any more than you do.
Oh, that means you've got a...
What a challenge.
Yeah.
So yeah, come on.
So the first one for me, current generation Suzuki GSS X 1300R Hayabusa.
That's a name.
Yeah, that's a motorcycle.
And a picture that will be on screen now.
And I would have it in the 30th anniversary, well, the special 30th anniversary colours, which is burnt orange and black, and it looks, well, as I mentioned, I think in the earlier videos talking about this bike, the standard colours it comes in are like mediocre, but this 30th anniversary colour, the burnt orange, oh yeah.
It looks stunning. As our viewers can now see on screen.
Yeah, it does.
Okay.
It does. So that'll be number 1 for me. What about you?
Anything good performance-wise on that bike then? Give me some off the top of the head numbers.
It's either just under or just over 200 brake horsepower.
Ooh.
I think the current one might even be 210.
On a bike?
Yeah. It's insane. Newton meters of torque, I don't know, lots. 0 to 60 before you've even opened the throttle. Yeah, just insane. But it's not a light bike. It's not a sports bike. It's more of what they call a sports touring bike.
So you're a bit more city-uppy?
A little bit. You're forward a little bit, but you're not forward like you're on a race bike. And it's just designed to be effortlessly quick.
Okay.
In comfort.
With that amount of horsepower, with that little weight.
Yeah. Well, it's going to weigh wet. It'll be heavier than your sports bike, obviously. It'll be probably about 230 kilos ish, which is heavy for in the big scheme of things. It's not massively heavy for a bike, but for a car
person, that's positively anorexic.
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, that's all it is. It's an engine with handlebars and a seat on it. That's all it is, isn't it? Well, sorry, 2 wheels, obviously, but yeah.
But a whole lot of fun.
Oh yeah.
Have you ridden one of those?
No.
So not only is it a wish list to purchase, but it's also a wish list to ride.
Yeah. Oh. But the thing is, the price of bikes, well, probably the same with new cars, is obviously everything goes up every year anyway. Yep. But especially over the last 3 or 4 years,
about 25% higher.
Everything's rocketed.
Yes.
And now, brand new, one of those, I think the special anniversary one, because obviously you pay a bit more for a different paint scheme, which I think is ridiculous. It's probably the same with cars, isn't it? You get special paint, you've got to pay more.
This is where I'm going to shock Ack now. There's a new trend, and it tends to be with Maserati and Ferrari. there's a colour that you can order a new Maserati in, which I think is around £27,000 more because of the colour. And you're probably now sitting there, or I hope you're sitting there thinking, he's got to be making that up. No, I'm not.
So the Hayabusa, brand new, it's about £17,000.
Which in car terms, of course.
It's obviously not a lot, but in bike, 17 grand for a toy, because that's all it is, isn't it? You get to a certain age, it's a frigging toy.
Midlife crisis.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, yeah. Do you know, talk about midlife crisis? I very nearly recently cashed out one of my pensions and bought a motorcycle. But then Mrs. Ack found out about that plan, and that was the end of that.
Oh, so it was a theoretical plan.
Wait,
I thought for a minute you'd hidden something in the garage I haven't
Well,
yet seen,
no.
and you were
Well,
going to go, well, actually, Paul.
you'll be surprised to hear that I've never actually bought a motorcycle without telling the wife, and I've never turned up at her work and gone, "Ta-da!"
What's the phrase? Is it better to ask? Is it better to ask forgiveness?
Yes.
Or better to ask permission?
No, forgiveness, definitely.
Okay.
Yeah, and it was definitely forgiveness for me.
Yeah, but you didn't buy it.
No,
So
not
you
to-
were
no, no,
covertly
no.
covertly
I'm
asking
talking
permission?
historically.
Okay.
I have
Ooh,
bought a motorcycle without telling her,
You live
and
more.
just turned up at work and gone, "Ta-da!"
You definitely live more on the edge than I do. I would definitely be asking permission rather than asking for forgiveness.
Well,
I can't afford to live as dangerous as you. First one for me then, quite simple really. It's not exotic. Toyota Yaris GR4.
I thought you were going to say Fiesta Popular.
Well, no,
That's
because we're
1.1L.
talking absolute sort of, I'm having a dream garage with, let's say, 7 vehicles
Yeah,
because
yeah,
you've
yeah.
chose 7 bikes. The GR4, of which there is a new GR4 now, which is just a little bit tweaked and a little bit better and a little bit quicker. What a machine. Because ultimately, it's Toyota Yaris. But Toyota, because of obviously homologation for rallies and etc., they completely redesigned the Yaris. Because,
Oh yeah, they did. It looks proper wide, didn't it?
because
Those massive wheel arches.
you can't buy a 3-door Yaris. But the GR4
Is a 3-door.
is a 3-door.
Yeah.
So that's a completely reworked car. Forgetting all the funky mechanicals of 4-wheel drive, etc. It is a bespoke, unique car. And for what, 30,000? I know it's a lot of money, but 30k for a rally-bred Toyota Yaris, 0 to 60, I don't know, just over 5 seconds. And again, I think it's only, we're moving into a world, aren't we, where the engines are smaller, but they're turbocharged and they're producing more power. I think it's only
More efficient, more powerful.
I think it's only 1,600.
Wow.
So the
How
Toyota
many
Yaris
brakes does it pull out
GR4,
then?
well, it's going to be about, I think it's around 260. 260 in a modest sized car, albeit dragging 4 wheels, not 2. It's a piece of kit.
If you say so.
That's my first car for my dream garage. Over to you for your second bike, Ash,
Second bike.
as I enjoy your coffee.
Yeah.
Put it on screen first before you say
Yeah, I rode this a few years ago. It's not the current generation,
well, it doesn't have to be.
but the reason
this is
why
your
it's
dream
up
garage,
there
but it could be any age.
It's because it's the one that I actually rode and fell in love with the moment I rode it, and that's the 2017 facelift KTM 1290 Super Duke R.
Okay.
Weighs about 185, 90 kilos wet, 175 brake horsepower, a ridiculous amount of newton meters of torque. Because it's a twin cylinder, all the power's there at a bit like an EV, any speed.
Okay.
Just open it up and it'll
Naught
just,
upwards.
and it will just go off like the Roadrunner. It's just utterly insane, and I loved every minute of riding that bike.
Oh, I
It was
bet you
just
did.
Crackers.
Fair to say it's left an impression.
Oh, mate. What a bike.
You see, most of my dream stuff I haven't driven,
Yeah.
but you've ridden one of your
Yeah,
dreams.
yeah. No, I've ridden pretty much most of my dream bikes. That's why they're dream bikes.
Well, sometimes, I guess, don't they always say that I don't know, the fantasy...
Never meet your hero. and all
that's
that
the
rubbish.
one. I was going to say about the
Yeah.
fantasy, but yeah, never meet your heroes because it doesn't always pan out. But I haven't driven a Yaris GR4, but there's only so many YouTube videos you can consume that are all spouting how wonderful this piece of machinery is.
Yeah.
And I do occasionally watch one, albeit obviously a slightly different version, on a rally stage, and it's just a phenomenal a phenomenal piece of kit. Okay, so that's back over to me then, though, isn't it?
Yeah.
I'm going to go a bit classic. Think
Oh, interesting.
think-
E-type.
not that classic.
Oh,
Think mid-90s.
right.
Think
Cosworth.
Think touring car.
Please tell me not the Volvo T5.
No,
Go on, keep going. Renault Laguna.
no, but I did like
Yeah,
particularly the later liveried Laguna, which was green. It just looked
was green
awesome.
and gold. That was Nescafe.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Alan Menu, was it?
And Jason Plato.
I'm going to go for, and I'm going to pronounce his name wrong, but as I'm a Brummie, I pronounce everything wrong.
Hang on. Pronounce his name. I thought you were talking about a car.
Gabriele
Gabriele
Tarquini.
Yeah. What car was that?
Alpha 155. We'll put it on
Picture
screen
coming
now.
up. Yeah.
Absolutely stunning. A bit boxy, but it's an iconic car.
Alpha 155. Yes.
And famously,
Yes, I remember that car.
on one occasion, I think it might be at Donington, but we'll put an image on screen now.
I remember
Tarquini managed to make
yeah.
it look not boxy anymore because
that
he
because
rolled it, and I think it rolled more than once.
Yeah.
But as a car, I mean, okay, we can all
Was
joke.
that the one that looked kind of like, if you're going from front to back or from back to front, it just kind of went down that all the way?
I'd call it a standard free box design.
With like quite a narrow front end.
Yeah, it's a
like
narrow
top to bottom.
It's a
but
narrow
quite
front
wide.
end, but
I think I remember the car.
so I know people joke about Alphas and particularly Lancias and stuff, and ultimately not many of them survive. Find me a good condition Alpha 155, which of course, money no object, I would find a mint condition Alpha 155. It would be joining my garage.
But you mentioned Lancia, and all I can think of, was it called the Delta Integrale?
Awesome.
Oh, mate.
Actually, coincidentally, awesome, and you've ruined another car that would be in my garage. But that's fine. I can't do the same for bikes. Yes, the Lancia Delta Integrale. What a car. But again, rally.
But even I'm trying to think what livery is it. But if you think about model cars for a minute, you get one from Tamiya of this Integrale.
Yeah, you remember the livery.
And isn't it the Martini red and blue stripe?
Rings a bell.
Cinzano Martini something or other.
Rings a bell. We're showing our age.
But it's red and blue stripes, isn't it? Or red
Yes.
and blue colours.
Yeah.
And it just looks, oh my God. Well, why don't you sell all your cars
No, here we go.
and get a decent one?
This might as well be the punchline for our channel. AutoPod.
On a serious note, if you actually sold all of your cars,
AutoPod.
would you get 70 grand? Would you better buy that
I'll
Alfa
touch
and
that on
marry
in a minute.
yours or whatever?
AutoPod. If he, brackets Paul, sells all of his cars, he could buy a decent one. I can see it now. What a tagline.
Well, the thing is, you can't say it because I only own one motorcycle.
That's fine.
See, working class, snob.
I'm a Brummie, and by definition,
Okay.
properly working
Working
class.
class, loads of money.
It's all the front. I don't know. I've never, to be fair, that's a good question. I've never sat down and tried to add up, but I have said on my car channel before, like everything in life, a car is only worth what someone's willing to pay for it. So
Well, it's like anything.
yeah,
isn't it?
so
Yeah.
I might think that my Hillman Imp is worth X, but somebody may only pay Y. I'm not to know.
Yeah.
So I think for me, yeah, I could afford probably a decent car.
Cool.
But let's
one
stick
thing
with
is, let's just say, argument's sake then, if you sold your current garage,
Yes.
would it give you enough money to buy one of your dream cars?
Yes.
Ah, superb. Well, there you go then.
And it'd be easier with insurance, and it'd be easier with
Don't
storage.
argue with me. Sell all your cars, buy a decent one.
Ack has spoken. I've done
Anyway.
3 cars there now because we've got the Toyota
yeah.
Yaris GR4, we've got the Alpha 155, and you eked out of me, craftedly, a Lancia Delta Integrale.
I wouldn't say craft implies a degree of skill or nous.
Oh,
that was neither.
It weren't that then.
Yeah.
So, what's your third bike?
A Triumph Speed Triple.
I'm glad you said
1200.
Triumph.
Ah.
Okay.
Now, I rode one of those a couple of years ago. There's a video on my channel about it, where I'm behaving sensibly.
Link in the description below.
175 brake horsepower. And being a Triumph, being a triple, it sounds utterly orgasmic when it's on full chat and all the valves and the exhaust are opening, and it's just. I needed to pull over every 5 minutes for a cold shower, mate. Honestly,
Was it that exciting?
Yeah.
Did it reach parts that other bikes cannot reach? You own, sorry to jump in, but you own a Triumph with a triple engine, don't
Yeah,
you? And every time I ride pillion on it, I love the sound of that
the
bike.
Triumph Triple, yeah, it just, what an engine.
Now, and that's a quick bike, but to put it in context, you've just said the one was 170 or something?
175 brake.
The one you currently own has?
Well, bearing in mind, you could attest this because you've been on the back of it, and I've never really given it the berries when you've been on the back.
No.
But you've experienced a degree of performance.
Yes.
The one I currently have has only got 95 brake horsepower.
So it's going to be quite quick then. Although I quickly realised, as a novice pillion passenger, I feel better when you've got that storage box on the back, whatever
top
you
box
call
on,
it.
so you don't fall off the
Because
back.
you've just got something to lean against, don't
yeah.
you? So that's bike number 3.
Yeah, bike number 3, the 1200 RS.
And between us, somewhere in between where you and I live, happens to be the Triumph factory.
Yeah.
Which we need to go to one day.
No, we've actually been there.
Oh, you beat me to it again.
And
Please tell our 5 viewers what happened on that day.
Well, no, because I put a link below. But basically, me and Paul set off one day on the back of my bike, went up to Triumph for the day, and it was.
It was shot ack. It still
Yeah.
was a day out though, when
Yeah.
we went to the pub afterwards and we had a laugh.
Yeah, no, it was a laugh.
So that's your bike 3 then.
Yeah, what's your car for then?
Well, there's a couple, but I'm going to try and make sure that we keep them even. Ferrari FF, because I think the later one to the FF is called a GTC Lusso, maybe. Basically,
hang on.
it's a 4-seater Ferrari.
If they've actually named their car FF and it's written with just 2 letter Fs, I will be bitterly disappointed because that's not exotic in any way, shape, or form. Oh my God's sake.
An FF. There was either before or afterwards a GTC, but basically it's a 4-seater Ferrari. But I love the shape of it, I love the design of it, and I love the fact that
Sorry.
you can't get over the FF, can you?
I've just done a time warp back to the Fast show.
Okay,
Remember the Fast show?
I do.
F.
So that is car number 4. I love the look. I love the fact that it's 4-seater, and I love that sort of dreamy concept that I'm never going to probably
Is it a bit
achieve.
like the Ferrari version of the Porsche Panamera? That kind of 4-seater car?
No, because personally I think, and I love all cars, but that looks like a dog's dinner.
No, I mean as in a 4-door saloon car rather than an MPV on stilts type car.
This is only 2-door, but 4-seater.
Fine.
It's got a very long nose because of the engine
I
being
think
at the front.
the Panamera's 4-door, isn't it?
It's got a long nose
Fine.
like me because it's
Yeah.
got the engine at the front.
Yeah, I wouldn't say yours is long.
It's crooked, and it's a 4-seater.
I wouldn't describe it as that either.
I want to dream that one day I could leave the family household with all 4 of us in the car, my wife and two now grown-up kids,
Yeah.
and travel somewhere across Europe in a Ferrari because it works for me. So that is car number 4 for
Wow.
me. What's bike number 4 for you? If I'm keeping up with the numbers.
Yeah. Bike number 4, 2017,
Yep.
facelift, Honda CBR 1000 RR. In fact, no, it's a single R. I'll explain the difference in a minute. Fireblade.
There's a lot of R's, aren't there, on bikes?
Depending on the bike, yes.
And I guess
I'm
the
just
more
trying to think
R's, the quicker or more sportier it is.
Well, in theory, I'm trying to think whether mine's got an R on it. No, because it's not sporty.
Your bike has got an R in it. There's an R in Triumph. So go on then,
Yeah.
tell me a bit more about...
Fireblade. Wow. Fireblade originally came out in 1994 and it completely changed the world of sports bikes.
Okay.
As in it was lighter and more powerful than what had come before, and it literally set the world alight. It was like, never rode one, but my God, everybody
Shook up
had
the other bike manufacturers.
Absolutely, yes. Obviously with various incarnations over the years, but in 2017, after a long succession of Fireblades that didn't look very attractive in my opinion, they obviously facelifted it and they made it a bit more angular, and they just made it drop dead gorgeous. I actually rode one. Wow, very briefly. I think it's about 180, 185 brake. It weighs about 175 kilos wet.
That's light. You'd have to sit on it to keep it on the ground.
Performance is just, you can't really use it on the road. It's just far too much, but an awful lot of fun. And it handles like it's on rails. It was just, oh my God, it was just, yeah, wow.
You wouldn't be in many gears before you break in the speed limit in that.
Oh, you could do it in the second gear easily without even thinking about it.
Yeah.
And we're not talking about the end of the second gear.
Oh,
You're
no.
We're talking about halfway through the second gear and you're way past it. Yeah,
So that'll
be bike number 4.
Bike number 4.
Yeah.
Car number 5 for me then is going to have to stick with Ferrari just one more time. Ferraris for me, modern Ferraris, have lost their way.
They have. They look like any other modern sports car.
Completely lost their way.
Yeah.
I was lucky enough in, I think it was 2001, I won a Top Gear magazine prize.
Wow.
It just so happened that Top Gear was about to collapse. And this was between the old Top Gear, I think,
right.
and because the magazine kept going no matter what.
Right. So this is after Jeremy and the crew left.
No, because it's 2001. This is before the new
right.
Top Gear started, which was probably around 2002
so
or something. I don't
Jeremy had the other two with him.
Yeah.
Right.
But the magazine, of course, has always been produced. So anyway, let's say it's 2001. And I won a magazine thing, and it was to spend a day at Silverstone.
Oh.
And it was with 4 cars. And I'll start with the bottom up, although the first one is still fantastic.
Caterham?
It was the Lotus Elise.
Oh.
It's a Porsche 911. It was the beast of a Dodge Viper, which, no offence to owners of Dodge Vipers, but moving the gear lever, terrible.
So it wasn't slick at all?
The word slick would not come into it, no. Maybe it was just the example I drove. Maybe I was weak on that day. But it almost felt like I'll just use 2 hands and
It's
move
an
the gear
American
lever.
car. I'm surprised it was a manual.
It had a lot of grunt, of course.
Oh, yeah.
But
you just couldn't change gear in it?
But the pinnacle of it was the Ferrari 355. Iconic sound, iconic look.
355.
The sound.
Well, it's not a modern Ferrari.
And it's of an age. And of course, you've got the clanking gear lever. I just remember when I drove the Lotus Elise, it was around Silverstone. I remember enjoying it. And of course, they corner like on rails. It's a well-worn phrase. But I remember we ended up in the Ferrari as the last car. And I just remember and they covered up the speedo on the track. You couldn't see the speed you were doing because I guess too many people would focus on the speed that they're doing.
Yeah, you get distracted by the speed
rather than looking ahead.
Around, yeah.
So the instructor sitting next to me, we were coming down, we were kind of coming behind a Lotus Elise into a corner. And I remember him saying to me to this day, when the Elise goes round, he'll move over to the right. We'll get halfway round and
give it some.
We want you to pass it.
Yeah.
Bearing in mind I'd got out of the Elise earlier in that day and thought it was absolutely fantastic. I appreciate it. A big track is lost for a Lotus Elise, but it was still really fun. Anyway, the 355
circuit or just a little mini circuit?
355 just left it immediately because,
Wow.
of course, it's a completely different level of car. So the 355 should be in my garage, but actually I would go for one of the last of the Ferraris that I like, and that's the 458 Speciale. I'll put it on screen there. I think 458 Speciale has got the right balance, says the man that's never owned a Ferrari but driven a Ferrari. It's got the right balance of power, sound and style that does it for me. I think cars after the 458 Speciale.
Well, I don't know when the 458 Speciale came out, but for me there are only 2 Ferraris. There's Magnum Ferrari, which is a 308 GTB.
Absolutely. Who can forget the eyebrows raising?
Yeah. And then there was, what was his first name? But his last name was Crockett.
Yeah, okay.
And unfortunately, he had it in the wrong colour.
Miami Vice. Because it was white to go with his suits.
It should have been red, but the Ferrari Testarossa, or the 512
which
TR,
has got those slats going down the side.
Which is another model is the 512 TR in red, because any other car, I don't care what anyone says, a black, white or yellow Ferrari is not a Ferrari. It's got to be red.
I wouldn't turn one
period.
down, but it would have to be red. It would have to be red for me. It would have to be red.
Testarossa, Crockett's car, Magnum's cars in red. Oh,
So I think I'm on car number 5, and I think because this podcast is already at 30 minutes, I might limit mine to 5. What's your 5th bike?
Well, we can always get the others in at some point in the future.
Good point. We'll split this podcast up, everyone, and we'll carry on a future podcast.
Yeah, we'll continue.
So what's your
on
last bike for this one?
In fact, no, I'm going to carry this over because there's a bit of story. We start getting to the realms of there's a story behind this.
Okay.
And there's a bit of history which I feel the need to speak about.
I'm not quite literally on the edge of your seat, but go on.
Yeah. So I'm going to carry it over.
Okay.
And I'm going to stop.
So we're going to end it here.
Yeah, we're going to end it here.
An impromptu end to our podcast number 3. I'm grateful to anyone that's managed to get to the end of our ramble.
Yeah, no, if you've actually stuck around this long, quite frankly, I'm here, but I'm
quite frankly, they deserve an award.
Yeah.
But
if you've got
please,
anything to say...
Yeah, let us know in the comments below.
Yeah, whether it's good or bad.
Yeah, but if it's bad, don't bother because I'll...
Well, no, they could be as bad, but just ask them to be kind. So you use soft, kind language rather than...
That's an interesting prize.
Yeah. Well, because you can say horrible things, but you can make them pink and fluffy.
You can be nasty in a nice. You can be nasty in a nice way. Thanks for watching, everyone. See you on the next one.
On the next one. Bye bye.